Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 4 of our AEW 2022 series in TEW 2020. This is Rampage, and for week 2 in June. And as mentioned on the previous episode, we'll have Rampage in this one, and we'll take a look at some decisions on how we're going to try to balance out this big roster and kind of what I decided to do on that. So that'll be the second half of this episode. But we will jump into Rampage, coming off of a very big Dynamite, which I think we got an 82 on that Dynamite. So a big show, easily our best show thus far. And now we will follow that up with Rampage. I don't think we're going to get an 82 here, but we'll see what we can do. All right, pre-show. It's the Acclaimed getting the win over the Varsity Blondes, 8-12. Bowens pins Garrison, and we see that Caster off his game here. Gets a 54. Get some good bonuses across the board on this, so still the great chemistry with the Acclaimed. And as I keep saying, for now, I mean, you're going to see a lot of pre-show matches that are tag team matches just because we have such a big division. And again, we don't have time to put everyone on there and be able to do storylines and all that. It's not going to happen. So this gives the Acclaimed a nice win and kind of keeps them in the rotation after they lost in that tag team eliminator series there on last week's Rampage. So now we jump into the main show, and we're going to start off with a pretty hot match here, 70, so that's pretty good stuff. Kyle O'Reilly gets the win over Lee Moriarty, 9:40. The Brainbuster does it, so we did a pretty much, we wanted to, by the way, Mike Chioda, we hired him as a referee. He gets an initial rating of poor as a staff member, but that's okay. We did do still the show on this one, because, again, looking at these two, their stats, knowing what they can do in the ring, this was certainly something that we knew that we could get a good match out of these two. I did try to do a technical masterclass aim, but, of course, those need to go 15 minutes or more, and I could not put Lee Moriarty on here for 15 minutes or more because you would get the, Lee Moriarty is being used too much on the show. In the booking analysis section and all that. So we had to drop this down, and so I figured we'd just do still the show, make it kind of a quick match. And O'Reilly gets the win, but again, I'm pretty impressed with the possibilities for Moriarty here. I think we'll be able to use him in some pretty strong matches moving forward. But O'Reilly gets the win, and that's probably going to make Adam Cole happy based on talking about wanting his group to be elite again. And he was mentioning O'Reilly as someone who's had a recent string of good fortune, as Cole has, winning the Owen Hart Cup. O'Reilly beat Darby Allin at Double or Nothing, now gets the win over Lee Moriarty in a good match here of 70. And then it is Tony Schiavone. We see an interview with Tony, who is talking to Athena, who, as we announced on Dynamite, will get a shot at the TBS Championship on next week's Dynamite. She will take on Jade Cargill. And Athena says that, she came to AEW for a reason. She knows that she's the best, and she can be the best in this women's division. And she says the one thing she has that Jade does not is experience. And she's seen everything, she's done everything, and there's nothing that Jade throws at her on Dynamite that will be able to phase her. And in her first match, basically she says, I'm going to walk out as a champion here in AEW. So Athena, again, calling her shot here, saying she's going to win the TBS title on Dynamite. So we have that match set, a championship match. Jade Cargill defending the TBS title against Athena, 44 here in this segment. And then in a just a atrocious match, easily our worst match thus far, Mercedes Martinez gets the win over Sky Blue. We went squash match here, 454. This was brutal. Clearly, it would have been much better. I don't know how much better it would have been. Probably got a 40 or something. But Sky Blue with a broken eardrum, so that injury is going to hurt for sure. So yeah, being disrupted by injury, so that penalizes the segment. Just a bad match here. But this, as you'll see, is just all to set up something else. But this was not good. And broken eardrum, I think that'll keep Sky Blue out a while. Didn't we just see someone... Or what was that? I don't know. Maybe that's a WWE save. Someone just had a broken eardrum. I don't remember who it was, and it kept him out quite a while. So, not good. 33. This was pretty much just a squash match for Mercedes Martinez to get to the next segment we're going to get to. But Sky Blue, broken eardrum. If you have a perfectly acceptable eardrum, please send it Sky Blue's way. Thank you, Mr. Regal. All right, and speaking of that, it is Mercedes Martinez saying that she watched Rampage last week, and she tells Tony, I want a piece of Statlander. That's who she wants, and she tells Statlander she's a fighter. She'll meet her in the ring anytime, anywhere. So she says, show up. Whenever you want to show up, I'll be here waiting on you. So Mercedes Martinez, seemingly trying to work her way up in the AEW Women's Division, wants a shot at Chris Statlander, who was victorious last week here on the show. So 49, and we had to use that bad match to get to the segment in the post-match. But, this is kind of, again, leading to a match here, and we'll see what happens with her calling out Chris Statlander. And then we get an announcement as Excalibur announces that it's an announcement, but Wheeler Yuta looks lost even in the announcement. But that's okay. I don't remember what we rated him on here. But Excalibur announces that on Dynamite, it will be the Young Bucks teaming up to take on Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta. So that's a big match added to next week's Dynamite. Gets a 70 here. Good stuff. So that's a big one. I think this will be a pretty fun match with these four involved. So the Young Bucks wanting to get back on track. Will they be elite? We will find out on Dynamite as they take on two members of the Blackpool Combat Club. And then Santana and Ortiz. I gotta fix that. That just that annoys me. I'm like, it's not natural for me to say Ortiz and Santana. It's Santana and Ortiz. So I gotta fix that in the team setting. But they get a win here, 56 overall. They beat the Gun Club, Austin and Colton, 655. So a pretty basic match here with still good stuff from Santana and Ortiz. Their in-ring performances. I've looked at kind of their skills and stuff, but they're a team we're really going to use here because they do a lot of good stuff, and we're excited about the stories and possibilities we have with them. So nothing more than just kind of a match to get them a nice win on television here. Santana and Ortiz getting the win here against the Gun Club. And it is Christian who is in the back with Jurassic Express. And Christian, of course, now we know Jurassic Express is going to take on Team Taz, Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbs, who earned their spot. I don't know if earned was the right word, based on what Andrade and Rush did against the Lucha Brothers. But Starks and Hobbs are going to take on Jurassic Express at Road Rager for the AEW Tag Team Championships. So we know that's official. And so Christian says that they're ready. Just like he said last week, it didn't matter who they faced. They would be ready. His guys, Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, they would be ready for their challengers. And then, as they get ready to finish up, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus go to walk out, but Christian says, oh, wait a second. I forgot to say something. He wants to make sure that Starks and Hobbs have a front row seat on Dynamite because he says Jungle Boy is going to be in action in a big match on Dynamite. And Christian says he wants Starks and Hobbs to be there to watch the greatness of Jungle Boy. So Jungle Boy a little caught off guard by this, as though he didn't know he was having a match on Dynamite. But Christian says that he will be in action. So Jungle Boy seemingly set for a match on Dynamite as we head towards this big tag team match between Team Taz and Jurassic Express. 58 here, decent stuff. And we get an announcement that Hangman is going to be back on Dynamite. So Hangman returns after losing his AEW World Championship at Double or Nothing to CM Punk. It is official. Page makes his return on Dynamite. So we got a lot of big stuff set up for Dynamite. We've got the TBS title match. We've got the Bucks against Moxley and Yuta. We've got Hangman's return. We just learned the Jungle Boy is going to have a match. So a lot of good stuff set in motion for next week's Dynamite. Hangman's back, 67 on this one. And then it is our main event with Eddie Kingston getting the win over Daniel Garcia with some botched interference by Chris Jericho. We knew Jericho would be involved, but unfortunately, Jericho's help turns into Garcia's downfall as it is Kingston getting the win in 9:46. The Lariat does it 62. Not a bad match here. Garcia off his game, still benefiting from being the flavor of the month. We did do Wild Brawl on this because remember, even on a show like Rampage, that's only 1 hour, we still have to have 3 different match aims. So, it's just, we did O'Reilly and Moriarty as Steal the Show. We do Kingston and Garcia here, and I don't remember, there was the other one we did. Maybe that was storytelling on one of the matches. I can't remember which one that would have been. But, so that's kind of what we have to do. Again, we're just trying to meet all these match aims. So, 62, not a bad main event here. But Kingston gets the win. And again, the botched interference from Jericho will kind of set in motion some story ideas we have moving forward here involving Jericho, Kingston, and all that. So 62 on this one. And then we wrap up with a video feature, and it is an interview with Malachi Black, who, coming off of Dynamite, we saw it was CM Punk calling out Malachi Black, accusing him of attacking him the prior, week, based on the whole lights out, lights on, and Punk saying that he knew that it was Black. That's his, MO. That's what he does with this whole lights out gimmick. And Black denied it, and now we get sort of a, response to that 6. We basically just had a brawl to finish Dynamite with CM Punk and FTR, and of course the House of Black. And then it's just a promo of Black kind of following up on that, saying that, CM Punk was right about one thing, and that was that he did come to AEW to be, at the top. And Black says to be at the top, that means to be the world champion. And even though Black says, I didn't attack you, but now you've given me an opportunity to be the AEW world champion. And that's when Black basically says, look, I'm innocent until proven guilty, but for now, CM Punk, if you want me to be guilty, then that's fine. But that has to come at a cost, and that's me taking your AEW World Championship. So, Black sort of leaning into this a little bit now, knowing that perhaps this is going to open an opportunity, although he says he did not attack CM Punk. Punk's not buying it, but we still don't know the truth, and perhaps we will find it out soon enough. But this was just kind of a follow-up from what happened on Dynamite. And as you'll see, this is kind of what we're going to do with Rampage. It's only an hour. There's only so much we can get into this show. But we want to be able to still tie some different things in that happened on Dynamite rather than just making this a completely different show. We don't want to make this a semi-brand split where you just have people who are on Dynamite and they, you have different people on Rampage. There's going to be a little bit of that just because there's so many people on the roster, but we want to kind of use Rampage as something where you can kind of follow up angle-wise on some big things that happened on Dynamite, but not necessarily having to just, have the same people have the same matches, on Dynamite and Rampage and all that. So it's kind of an interesting balance, but we'll figure it out as we go. But a 68 to end the show here. This is not going to be our strongest Rampage by any means. 65, but again, a lot of things in motion here. We're moving towards a lot of big matches, and so we get a nice popularity, 7 regions here, 65 for this Rampage with the main event of Eddie Kingston defeating Daniel Garcia, and as I said, a lot of big stuff announced for next week's Dynamite. So there's Rampage, and now let's jump into looking at sort of the, we'll look at our email, we'll look at all that stuff. Sort of, by the way, there's something else I have to show you too that took place before the start of Dynamite, a big news story in the world of wrestling. But we'll get to that, and we'll start to look at what I'm going to do with the roster and some ideas I had in mind. So here we go. All right, so Dynamite, we strike gold, of course, as we saw in the previous episode. Rampage, great, a lot of praise. Not quite striking gold there. NXT has a new team. Andre Chase and Boa, it looks like, are going to be teaming up there, so that's interesting. Let's look at our mail. Mike Chioda, who we just hired, joining BLP on a handshake deal. Good for Mike. Sky Blue is injured, as we said, the broken eardrum. Let's see how long she's going to be out with the broken eardrum. That is something that I find very interesting. But 27 days, wow. So, yeah, that keeps you out about a month. I could see it. You don't want to be in there with a broken eardrum, so not ideal. Malachi Black has an opinion. Let's see. Ray Phoenix is charismatic. I can see the kid doing well in the future. All right, well, clearly we have plans for Ray Phoenix, and, yeah, so, I mean, really across the board. So, a lot of great plans for Ray Phoenix. So, good to know that Malachi Black in favor of him. Dynamite gets a 1.45. I want to say that's better than the one we had previously. I could be wrong, but as we continue to grow our company, we should get better ratings. So that's good for us. So all right, let me find this news story that was out there because it was something. I'll just say that. WWE. Where is it? Let's find the news here. And okay, actually, sorry, I went to the wrong thing. Let's just go to this and let's go find him, Seth Rollins, and recent headlines for Mr. Seth Rollins. Oh, Seth, what have you done? What have you done, Seth? Oh, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch divorced after Seth was caught cheating with Dana Brooke. Oh my. I saw this and I was just like, what a bad start for Seth in this save here. So Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch have officially divorced. So yeah, if you've always wanted to marry Becky Lynch, she's officially available in TEW 2020. And that led to Seth being hated by everyone. So Finn Balor and Seth Rollins hate each other. Sheamus and Seth Rollins hate each other. If Big E hates you, you've done something wrong. Big E's the nicest guy ever. So Big E and Seth Rollins having a hatred, that's not good. And Natalya also not a fan of Seth Rollins. So, Seth, come on over to AEW, man. That's all I can tell you. You got to come to AEW because clearly you've not done yourself any favors in WWE. So we'll see if Seth eventually makes his way to AEW, but I did want to note that they have officially divorced. Sad times for the man and the Messiah, Seth Rollins. So, all right, now let's get into looking at what we're going to do here with the roster, what I decided to do, and just in terms of trying to shuffle some people around and kind of clear the way to not have a roster that is just gigantic on the main roster of AEW. And let's look at what we're going to do with that. All right, so here's what we decided to do on the roster. Now, I know a lot of people talked about trying to go into the data, maybe get it to where ROH, we can make that work as the child company, the developmental. Promise you guys, I tried it. It just was not something that I was going to be able to probably do myself. That's why, like I said, hopefully, I'm sure when the next update of this mod comes out, which again, reminder, I'm using the March 2022 one that I tweaked myself, which is by no means accurate everywhere, probably outside of just AEW's roster. So I'm sure that'll all be set in the July one, I think, is the next update. So, so it was going to be a lot of work for me probably to try to tweak it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create our own developmental company. So we're going to invest in a new company, and we're going to go from there on that. So that's what we're going to decide to do on this. It'll just make it easier. What did I decide on for the name? Well, for all you early 2000s WWE fans who watched the likes of John Cena, Randy Orton, Batista, Brock Lesnar come through OVW, well, OVW no longer affiliated with WWE. It's actually an actual company for those of you who know that probably, but like they actually exist. They just don't exist in the game in this mod. So we're going to use OVW as kind of the throwback here to an era that produced a lot of big stars. So we're going to try to see if we can do the same with OVW and AEW. So we're going to say it returned in 2022 as the developmental territory for, I can't spell, developmental territory for AEW Southeast. We're going to set our popularity. This is a decision here, and I've been thinking about this one. I think, look, money-wise, financially, we have $35 million. If we want to go the highest at 42, it's only going to cost $5 million. So I think financially it makes sense to start here. Now, another reason why I think it probably makes sense to start this high, which again, I know it's everybody's different preference here. Like, sure, I could start at a 2, but guess what? I'm not going to have anyone to send there because no one's going to want to go to a region or to a company that's the size of 2. And that's where I think if we want to be able to maximize sending a lot of people to this territory to get, more bang for our buck, I guess you could say, I think we need to go the highest number here because remember, our roster is filled with a lot of people who are really in those 20s, 30s overness range popularity. So I think there's a lot of people we could send that would be perfectly fine with saying, okay, we're going to go to a company that's size, maximum size right now is a 42 in the Southeast. And I think that'll open up the possibilities a little bit more. So I'm going to set it as 42 because I think that will give us, again, roster-wise, if we set it, let's say, for example, we set it at 25, that's really going to limit the number of people on our roster we can send there, because they're not going to be happy about being sent to developmental because their popularity is going to be more than 25, and so they're not going to be thrilled at that. So I'm going to set it at 42. And again, everyone may not love that idea, and we may lose popularity initially just based on the roster, but I think setting it there will give us more of an option in terms of who we can send there, and that's what we're trying to do. We have 126 active wrestlers is what it said on here. And I didn't leave this because I'm hiding a signee. Sorry. So I didn't leave it on the assistant where it shows you all that kind of stuff because I'm hiding a new signee. So we need to send some people, and we need to send quite a few. So that's what we're going to do. Schedule strategy. This is where I'm probably going to need your guys' help. We're not going to have a TV deal. We know that, but I don't know what the best way is to do this. So I think this is one that, we've got to try to figure out what the best way is to do this. So I think probably, right, to do like a weekly show, I guess that's a weekly event would probably make sense. So I assume that's probably the best way to do it. So like, do we do TV or weekly? Do we do TV or monthly? That to me is the big question. So here is what I'm actually going to do right now. I'm going to set it at TV or monthly. Now, we're going to do TV or weekly. Now, I know you're thinking, well, why not just go ahead and set that? Because the AI is going to automatically create. I do have a little experience with this. I don't have a ton of experience with the developmental because, again, just in TEW 2020, I've not played with it a ton because you've seen the companies that I've run. They're the huge mega companies that I don't really have to do anything with developmental. So the AI, though, I know if I do TV or weekly, it's going to set like 52 events, and they're all going to have different names, and I'm going to have to go in there individually and probably get rid of a lot of those. And so rather than me having to do that, initially I'm just going to set it at monthly. So that way it only sets 12 new events. And you'll see what I'm talking about here. Let's look at it real quick. Product's going to stay the same. It's going to be the same as AEW, so nothing there. So if I set it at TV or monthly, we're going to create this for $5 million. So we're going to say yes on that. So let's go to our child company. We'll do this in a second. But here's what I'm meaning on the schedule. If I had set it at TV or weekly, it would have given me 52 different ones here, and I would not have kept all these names. So OVW All Out Rampage. That's a good one. That's kind of tying in all of our stuff. So that's a good one. Good work there, TEW. But we can redo this. Our schedule can change. So I am open to suggestions. What has worked for you guys? I know some people have talked about doing touring, that kind of stuff. I mean, look, I'm open to anything we can do to really grow this thing. Now, I don't want to be doing a show every single day necessarily, but I'm curious to see what's worked for you guys. I feel like, maybe weekly is the best way to go, or excuse me, TV or weekly, assuming we get a TV deal, but that's a long way away, I think. That way we can just run, basically, we could call it, OVW Wrestling, and we just run that show every single week. So I'm just curious to see kind of what you guys' suggestions are who have played around with developmental a lot, had success with it. Let me know what you think on that, because we will change that before we actually jump into things. So I just set that there as sort of a placeholder for now. Now we have to find an owner and a booker. Okay, let's look at our options, which, by the way, I have already looked at some of these options, and we're going to have some fun with this. So we're going to set 30 and 100. We don't want anyone over 100. We need longevity and sustainability here. Business skill, we need that. All right. So I'm looking at the options, right? I'm initially just kind of scanning through this list, and I was like, all right, Al Snow maybe, but nah, he's not that good business-wise. There were some other guys. Bully Ray, surprisingly, pretty good business skill here. I was looking, Don Callis is someone that I think was initially the best option, I thought, of the group. Even Evil Uno. Excalibur, the issue I think we're going to have with Excalibur, and I think I might actually still put him in the spot, Excalibur is a busy man. And if we, need him for a weekly show, that's really we don't want to overwork him too much. But let's see, we need to look at some of these others. But as you see me scrolling down here, there's one name you're all seeing right now. If you really look at this side here, that you're going to say, uh-oh, should we do it? And we all know who that is. Shane McMahon, who is currently unemployed. Given the news of the WWE recently here in the past 24 hours as I record this, a lot going on with the McMahon stuff on that side. But Shane has the best business skill of anyone in here. This entire list that is available to me as possible options, Shane McMahon at a 75 is the highest. So, I mean, do we do it? Do we just set Shane McMahon? And I mean, listen, as I said, told you guys from the beginning, our goal for AEW in this game is to be the number one company in the world, to overtake WWE. But do we do that by assigning Shane McMahon as the official CEO and owner of OVW? I'm going to let you guys vote on that, okay? So you guys get to make this vote on who we assign as our owner of AEW's developmental company, OVW. So for now, I'm going to leave this blank. But you have two options. We can either go the realistic option with Don Callis, who's not bad at 55, which that's my second option. Or we can just go all in here and just go Shane McMahon at 75, and we officially start the war. AEW, WWE, McMahon has joined AEW for the first time. And is this what we do now? Like, I'm open to ideas here. Like, even Thunder Rosa, but the business skill's not there. Her booking skill, though, is pretty good. Shane McMahon or Don Callis? You guys vote. Let me know in the comments. I really want you to lean one direction here. We're trying to make this game really intense. And there's two options, as I said. Don Callis, we could go the easy route. We could just, kind of lay back, pick Don Callis, go with that. Or we go with Shane McMahon. So you guys make your choices there on who you think we should put as the owner of OVW. Our booker, as you'll see, we have a very interesting group here. We're going to start this at 30. On the age, booking skill, yes, and quite a few options on the booking front. But one of the better options is BG James. He was out there. Bret Hart, by the way, they're not going to have him as our booker. It'd be a nice idea, but that is not going to work out. Some of the other people we're looking at, like I said, Don Callis at a 65, I think is actually a really good option. Excalibur at a 60. But like I said, the thing with Excalibur is going to be, I wonder if we can look at his, So his schedule, I mean, he's a pretty busy man. So we would have to kind of work that around the possibility of, putting Excalibur. If we did a weekly show, it would probably have to be on Saturdays when you look at some of this. So we could figure that out. But, I'm going to decide on that one too to figure out how to set it. And I'll let you guys know on the next episode who we're going to go with, because it really is all going to depend. If you guys vote for Shane McMahon as the CEO of OVW, what I'm going to do is at that point, I'm just going to plug Don Callis in as our booker. So that will be a decision I'm going to let you guys make, but there you go. There are your options. So Shane McMahon or Don Callis as our owner. And then if you pick Shane McMahon, we're going to put Don Callis as our booker. If you don't pick Shane McMahon, you pick Don Callis, we're going to put Excalibur as our booker. So that's it there. So everything is kind of set up here, and we'll make those decisions here soon. But I want you guys to weigh in on that. If you are just ready for everything to just burn here and you just want to see Shane McMahon in AEW. So that's what we'll do there. Schedule, as we said, I'm also open to you guys, whatever you think on the developmental. And we'll again, I'll go into this. This is kind of the initial setup. So just letting you know this is what we decided on this. And now what I am going to do, everything else here is kind of set. We will add some titles and all that stuff, but I'll update you on the next episode looking at what we decided there. We're going to do broadcasting real quick. This won't take long because I guarantee you there's probably like 3 people who will negotiate with us. Turns out it's 2. IWTV, YouTube. We're going to go YouTube because we already have AEW Dark there. So set for events, and they're not going to do a year. My guess is 6 months. Yeah, they'll do that, but they don't want us in prime time. Let's see. So what if we start with late evening? Nope. Late night, they're okay with that. Minimum show quality 19. Or we could do the evening, and they don't want to give us that either. We could do early evening. So, I mean, at this point, let's be honest. I don't know that there's a huge difference. We're going to eventually get bigger and better, we hope. So, let's see. We may go late night, and we can offer them a financial incentive, $1,000 per show. We'll do that. I'm trying to remember. Is late night or early evening the better option? I feel like late night is probably a better option, isn't it? So we're going to do that. So I think we'll give them some money. We'll give them $1,000 per show in this deal. I think that's probably okay. So we have the money. Again, I'm not concerned about. So we're going to go with that. We'll go late night here. and we'll kind of continue to grow with it from there. So late night default, doesn't really matter, does it? Because there's really no revenue coming in at the moment. So we'll propose that deal. We'll go late night as our show airing there, and we'll officially sign this deal and go with YouTube. So late night show, YouTube, and we will set it on that. And I think for now, until we decide on our leadership, this is like I'm making you guys part of the board of the official voting board of OVW here. So you get to vote on who's going to be our leadership. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the roster, and I'm going to send some people down, and I will show you our initial starting roster, and then we will wrap it up. All right, so here is our starting roster as it stands right now. We've got quite a few people in here. I want to say it's almost like 40 maybe, 30s, 40s, something like that. But we'll continue to send more people down here. I've got to, probably send an announcer, and we got a couple referees sent down. I think we've got a couple road agents, those kind of things. So we'll continue to kind of fill up the roster. But here's kind of the starting point that you'll see. Some of the people here, actually, to make it easier, what I'll do is I will show you the actual company, and that'll kind of you can tour the company and see who our top 5 are going to be. So as of right now, as it stands, Evil Uno is our biggest star. Again, we want to kind of mix sending some guys down who were not that over popularity-wise. Uno is the biggest from a popularity. He's the most over. I think he's like 40-something. Then you got Hook, Stu Grayson, Dante Martin, Kip Sabian, those kind of guys. So again, these are people we will use on Dynamite and Rampage, but as it stands right now, that's just kind of where it's at. So this is kind of the initial setup. I want you guys to help me vote for the owner and the booker. You are on the official board of OVW. Shane O'Mac or Don Callis. You get to cast your vote in the comments. Let me know who you're voting for, and then that will decide who we pick as our booker. And then, by the way, Anthony Ogogo is in there too. He's got probably the best star quality of anyone. Well, Hook's got great star quality, but so that's kind of where we stand right now, and we will go from there on this. So there we have it. There is where we will, kind of stop this episode as we get done kind of looking at developmental, and I'll make those changes, and then I'll give you the update depending on your votes on the next episode, and we will officially have our leadership structure in place for OVW, and then we will go from there. But as always, I appreciate you guys. Love the feedback. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hope you're enjoying the series thus far. It seems like you guys are. And yeah, we'll get back to our normal setup in terms of doing Dynamite and Rampage on the next episode. But just tried to kind of split them this week. But as you've seen, I've tried to put out quite a few videos this week, and hopefully we'll continue to kind of have a pretty good schedule here to where we can put out quite a few of these each week now. So that is the plan. But for now, again, thank you guys for all the great feedback. Let me know what you think about the developmental, both with the owner pick and the actual schedule, the schedule strategy. So let me know what you think on that in the comments. Hopefully we'll have a good discussion on that. And on the next episode, it will be Week 3 in June with a look at Dynamite and Rampage.